Could you state and spell your name for the record?
Last name is Mostofi. First name is Amir.
And where did you attend undergrad for college?
UCLA.
Okay, and what did you get a degree in?
Physiological sciences.
Okay, and then you went to med school, is that correct?
Correct, in Chicago.
Okay, and what year was that? Did you graduate from medical school in Chicago?
2004.
Was that where'd you go to medical school? University of Chicago?
No, Chicago Medical School, the one that had the
Okay.
T. And then after that, I went to University of Connecticut for 5 years to the orthopedic residency training. And then I went to Brown for 1 year, finished in 2010 for a hand fellowship. Began practice in 2010. Since you're going that way, I'll just review. And
Happy.
then private practice for 13 years. For 7 years, I did work part-time at USC as a clinical assistant professor for hand surgery.
And where's your practice been based since you finished your fellowship at Brown in 2000?
My practice is in Pasadena, California. Private practice that just got acquired by Cedars-Sinai.
Okay. And can you tell the jury what your practice is based, the focus of your practice?
90% hand and wrist surgery.
Okay. Can you tell us what your diagnosis was after you saw him for that second opinion?
Yeah, so he had the biggest issue is he had a crushed hand. Okay, so he had multiple broken fingers. He had broken metacarpals. But when I met Mark, his biggest issue is that his soft tissue was crushed. And so he was very stiff. He was post-op. He had pins in that were trying to hold the breaks. And so I saw him, I believe, it was probably 3 weeks or so after his surgery. And he was very stiff. He had a crush injury. So that's where we met. But that was in May.
And what was the effect of that to Mark's hand and its future efficacy or abilities of him to use his hand?
Once you've had about a year to recover from these kind of injuries, you become a steady state of you are what you are. So if someone's able to go back to having a normal function by 1 year, that's great. But in Mark's case, after a year of therapy and doing what he can to get the fingers moving, at 1 year, it's usually not a progressive issue. It's a loss of function, loss of motion. And there's always a small chance in the future that he becomes arthritic in certain joints. But right now, for Mark, who's 31 years old, he'll probably live this way for many years with a stiff, minimally functional hand. And then one day as he gets older, he could become arthritic in those knuckles. But for now, he's going to be at this steady state for a long time with what he has. I don't see he's going to get any better from today.
I guess the real question is this condition permanent?
Correct. It's for sure permanent. But if you want to document exactly how much motion loss and what he has and how much he can do from a functional perspective, then an FCE is necessary. But his problems are definitely permanent at this point.
In your opinion, at this point, if Mr. Kargayan had done more physical therapy, perhaps before you had written this note, would that have affected his overall outcome?
No.
At this point, did you feel like Mr. Kargayan was doing physical therapy frequently as instructed?
Yeah, he was.
And just to be clear, the surgery would help with just range of motion or other things as well?
Just motion.
It wouldn't help with pain?
No.
And what would you say specifically is the medical probability that he would see improvement from this surgery?
Less than 50%, my opinion. Or, like I said, 50-50 or a little bit less than 50-50.
So there's a little less than 50% that he might improve.
Yeah. And the problem is when you say improve, the second question I would ask is, well, does that help him increase his function or strength or reduce pain. And the issue is that he may get more motion, but he still might not be functional, still might not be perfect, still have pain, still has strength loss. That's one of the reasons why I was against doing that surgery for Mark, to be honest with you, because even though I might help him increase 20 degrees or 30 degrees in a particular joint, I'm not sure how much I would really help him from a functional perspective.
And what is the medical probability that the surgery would actually make Mr. Kurgan worse?
About 50%. He could be stiff, even further stiff in the surgery. So that's why when you say something is 50-50, doesn't sound too attractive, right? Unless you're a rock in a hard place. So from Mark's perspective, I just didn't feel like the surgeries are going to really help him.